Hello guys, welcome to our fourth video that is about how to do prioritization. In the previous videos we talked about that how a problem statement is given to you. You ask more and more clarifying questions, add more context to the question and narrow down the scope of the problem. Then we think exhaustively about all the possible cases कि उस पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम को हम कैसे सॉल्व कर सकते हैं, कितने तरीकों से सॉल्व कर सकते हैं. लाइक यू सॉ इन द प्रीवियस वीडियो कि कोचिंग इंडस्ट्री का हमें एक रेवेन्यू बढ़ाना था, तो अब हमारे पास उसके कितने सारे ऑप्शंस हैं. अब सबको तो चूज़ नहीं कर सकते ऑब्वियसली. सो अब हमें इतने सारे ऑप्शंस में से एक बेस्ट सोल्यूशन फाइंड आउट करना है. So, how to do that? So, for that, we are coming up with this video in which we will learn about prioritizing the solutions. So, how to prioritize things? How do we decide which solution to choose and which one should be dropped? तो इसके लिए अपन एक सिंपल सा एग्जांपल लेते हैं, डेली लाइफ एग्जांपल. कि आपको भूख लगी है, कुछ खाने को चाहिए आपको. ठीक है, आपने जोमेटो का ऐप खोला एंड अभी के लिए एक हाइपोथेटिकल सिचुएशन मान लेते हैं कि हमारे पास ये जो रेस्टोरेंट है, एक ही रेस्टोरेंट है जोमेटो पे, जिसके पास सिर्फ 5 डिशेज हैं, जैसे कि छोले भटूरे, बिरयानी, मोमोज, सैंडविच एंड फ्रूट सैलेड. सो अब मुझे तो अपनी भूख मिटानी है, और भूख तो यार इन पांचों से मिट जाएगी. सो व्हाट विल यू ऑर्डर इन दिस केस? कैसे करते हो आप लोग जब भी आप कुछ ऑर्डर करना चाहते हो? आपके पास तो बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस होते हैं. सो हाउ डू यू पिक कि ये ऑर्डर करना है मुझे? सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन, प्रायोरिटाइजेशन आप अपनी डे लाइफ में डेली करते हो, तो बस यहाँ पे भी ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर तरीके से अपने को ये सेम चीज़ करनी है. देखो, सेटिस्फाई हंगर अगर मेरा ऑब्जेक्टिव है, तो ये तो सारी चीज़ें कर देंगी. तो अब इन पांचों में से कैसे चूज़ करें बेस्ट? तो मैं सोचता हूँ यार, भूख तो मिट जाए लेकिन खा के भी मज़ा आए. तो जो मुझे टेस्टी लगता है मैं वो ऑर्डर करूँगा. सो नाउ माई मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव कि भाई मेरे को क्या टेस्ट में पसंद है. तो मुझे टेस्टी यार छोले भटूरे भी लगते हैं, दिल्ली से ऑब्वियसली. बिरयानी पसंद है. मोमोज खा खा के पक चुका हूँ भाई. हर दिल्ली के से 10 मीटर पे मोमो का रेडी है, बहुत खा लिए, पक चुका. मोमो नहीं पसंद मुझे. सैंडविच आई स्टिल लाइक. फ्रूट सैलेड ठीक है. नाउ लेट मी ऐड वन मोर थिंग दैट मुझे कुछ हेल्दी भी खाना है. तो अभी मैंने एक कंस्ट्रेंट डाला था कि मुझे कुछ पसंदीदा खाना है, अब मैं उसमें एक चीज़ और ऐड कर रहा हूँ कि अगर उसमें थोड़ा सा हेल्थ भी आ जाए तो मज़ा आ जाएगा. तो मैं अब क्या कर रहा हूँ, मैं दो चीज़ें, एक चीज़ और ऐड कर देता हूँ कि यार मैं वेजिटेरियन भी खाना चाहता हूँ. आज ट्यूसडे है तो मैं नॉनवेज खाना प्रेफर नहीं करूँगा. सो अब मेरे पास दो तीन कंडीशंस ऐड हो गई हैं. पहला, मुझे पसंद भी आना चाहिए. दूसरा, वो थोड़ा सा हेल्दी भी होना चाहिए. और तीसरा, क्योंकि आज मंगलवार है तो मैं चिकन भी नहीं खाऊंगा. तो अब मेरे पास क्या है? सेटिस्फाई हंगर तो पांचों कर रहे थे, दैट वी सॉ. बट नाउ व्हेन आई एडेड दीज थ्री कंस्ट्रेंट्स, व्हाट इज द सिनेरियो नाउ? तो अपन अब एक मेंटल चेकलिस्ट बनाते हैं अपने दिमाग में कि हाउ टू प्रायोरिटाइज थिंग्स एंड क्विकली चूज दैट. ठीक है, ये इस चीज़ के लिए सही है, ये इस चीज़ के लिए सही है. सो हाउ डू वी डू दिस इन रियल लाइफ? सो मेंटल चेकलिस्ट, लेट मी एक्सप्लेन यू व्हाट इज इट. सो हमारे पास ये पांच ऑप्शंस हैं. एंड अब मैं एक हेल्दी बकेट को चूज़ करता हूँ. छोले भटूरे अनहेल्दी, बिरयानी अनहेल्दी, मोमोज अनहेल्दी, सैंडविच हेल्दी, फ्रूट सैलेड हेल्दी. ठीक है, तो हेल्थ वाले कंडीशन ने मेरे ये प्रायोरिटाइजेशन दिया. नेक्स्ट मैं अपने लाइकिंग पे आता हूँ. तो छोले भटूरे तो भाई टॉप पे आ रहा है. ठीक है, उसके बाद मेरा बिरयानी भी मुझे पसंद है. एंड मोमोज आई डिसलाइक, जैसे मैंने बताया. सैंडविच आई ऑल्सो लाइक एंड फ्रूट सैलड नॉट पसंद. अब आते हैं वेज नॉन वेज वाले पे. तो अब छोले भटूरे वेज, बिरयानी लेकिन नॉन वेज है, मोमोज वेज है, सैंडविच वेज है एंड फ्रूट सैलड वेज है. तो डू यू थिंक दैट अब ये जो चेकलिस्ट हमने बनाई, अब मुझे चूज करना बहुत ज़्यादा इजी हो गया कि ठीक है, मेरे पास ये रहे तीन टिक्स. सो मेरे लिए बेस्ट ऑप्शन हो गया सैंडविच, तो मैं सैंडविच ऑर्डर कर दूंगा.
लेकिन एक सेकंड, मुझे तो सैंडविच पसंद ही नहीं है। अब क्या करेंगे? So, the question is, what should we do next? Let me guide you further. The mental checklist we are using here, it comes with some limitations. Sometimes it works really well, but not always. Like in this case, where sandwich and fruit salad and chole bhature are almost equal, and we can't really compare them properly. ये थोड़ा वैसे ही है जैसे जब जोमेटो पे हम फिल्टर्स लगाते हैं, वेज नॉन वेज वाले या हेल्दी अनहेल्दी वाले, और फिर भी देयर आर प्लेंटी ऑफ ऑप्शंस दैट लेफ्ट फ्रॉम विच वी हैव टू चूज. So, according to our previous checklist, chole bhature wins in liking but loses on health. On the other hand, sandwich balances all three factors. Healthy भी है, tasty भी है, and veg भी है. On the other hand, fruit salad is healthy, but not that what I something like. Okay. So this checklist or bucketing method works well when options are really limited and our constraints or objectives are enough to help us pick the best one. So, what we understand till now is when we have just one simple objective, like to satisfy hunger, we have plenty of options open. सब कुछ ही भूख मिटा देंगे, ऐसा तो नहीं है कोई कम मिटाएगा कोई ज़्यादा. Everything is equal to eliminate that भूख. But as soon as we start adding constraints, options automatically get eliminated. Adding constraints help us only to reach easily to the desired solution. For example, when we add a wedge constraint, some options get cut off. अच्छा है, अब इतने सारे में से चूज नहीं करना पड़ेगा. And as we keep adding more and more constraints or objectives, we end up with the fewer options to choose from. Basically, filtering ही तो कर रहे हैं जब तक हम एक फाइनल लिस्ट तक नहीं पहुंच जाते. Now let's connect this to the previous example we saw in the last video, the coaching institute business problem. There, the main objective was to increase revenue. When we explored all possible dimensions of that problem, we listed multiple solutions. So initially, all solutions were open theoretically. हम कुछ भी choose कर सकते थे. But practically सोचें तो can we choose all at once? Obviously not. Because in real scenarios, there are always some constraints. Always some constraints could be there, and those constraints will be anything like financial constraints or time foundations. So these constraints sometimes clearly given to you even in your interviews. Sometimes we realize them through our own understanding and the business understanding. Okay, so for example, maybe the institute facing a money problem. Now, this is the constraint. So, one solution could be let's increase the number of student batches to earn more revenue. But that means new infrastructure, new classrooms, new teachers. और ये सब काफ़ी कॉस्टली हो जाता है. तो ये तो चूज़ नहीं कर पाएंगे. So, what could be a more viable solution in this case? Maybe expanding an online class because it's cost effective and needs less infrastructure relative to the physical infrastructure. As you're seeing in this case, sometimes even after applying all these filters or constraints, we reach a point where some options looks too similar, like they fall into the same bucket, and we can't really compare them. So, here this filtering and bucketing approach stops helping. Although it's enough in some situations, but real prioritization needs something deeper. चलो, उसको समझते हैं आगे. In the next heading. चलो समझते हैं क्वालिटेटिव एंड क्वांटिटेटिव प्रायोरिटाइजेशन. अब हम इसे क्वालिटेटिव या क्वांटिटेटिव क्यों बोल रहे हैं? क्वालिटेटिव मीन्स फील बेस्ड, इंट्यूशन बेस्ड, मतलब तुम अपने एक्सपीरियंस या गट फीलिंग और अपनी पर्सनल अंडरस्टैंडिंग के बेसिस पर डिसीजन बनाते हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इन समर्स you might feel that shakes are better than ice creams. It is just your general understanding. There is no data to back you, and there is no numbers associated. This is just your gut feeling. On the other hand, quantitative method use numbers and data. For example, if we compare three food items on the basis of cost, you will check the prices. Chole bhature 200, sandwich 100, and fruit salad is of 50. So easily we can make the comparison that chole bhature is the costliest, sandwich is not that costly, and fruit salad is cheapest. Simple, right? But the real problem is when you have to make the comparison on the qualitative basis in the same bucket. For example, for the shakes, there are many types of shakes: vanilla shake, strawberry shake, chocolate shake, right? And you have to compare all of them. In this case, their prices are as well similar. So, what you will do here? So, here we will take help of quantitative prioritization. In this, we assign them numbers or relative scores by setting a base score. For example, ice cream is the really I don't want in the summers. So I just make the score of ice cream 1, and on again now we can compare relative to the ice cream other shakes, and other shakes we can relative comparison on the basis of these ratings. For example, mango shakes I give them 5 star because I like it most. Chocolate shake is of 3 star, and mango ice cream I already said, as I already said, mango ice cream is my base. So बेस असाइन करके एक एडवांटेज ये होता है कि आप उसके बेसिस पे कंपेयर कर सकते हो कि चलो ठीक है, इससे बेटर तो मुझे ये लगता है, तो लेट्स असाइन इट अ स्कोर ऑफ 2, बट इससे कम लगता है। इट्स जस्ट हेल्प अस विजुअलाइज बेटर अवर रैंकिंग। ओके, now in our previous example we discussed food options as healthy or not healthy, but the truth is real life is not always so black and white. हमेशा एक ग्रे एरिया रहेगा। लाइक इन फ्रूट सैलेड वी आर सेइंग अकॉर्डिंग टू क्वालिटेटिव कंपैरिजन इट इज वेरी हेल्दी, सैंडविच इज मॉडरेटली हेल्दी, एंड छोले भटूरे नॉट हेल्दी एट ऑल। बट द प्रॉब्लम हियर इज that we can't actually have the real data or real nutrition value associated with them. So we are just playing on our understanding that according to me, fruit salad is the most healthiest among these. So I'm giving them rating of 10. Sandwich, I'm giving it 7, and chole bhature is the worst, so I'm giving it 3. So in this way, here we are making the clear distinguishment factor. Now, I can easily compare them. Chole bhature is not on this scale. I can plot them like this. Sandwiches come in between, and healthy most is the fruit salad. Now, the challenge is here only there is one dimension, which is one dimension, or you can say one constraint, which is healthy or unhealthy. On this scale, you are plotting the items. What if I say that you have to compare these items on the basis of liking as well as on the healthiness? You have to maximize the liking thing as well, and you have to maximize the healthiness as well. How we will do? We already done this. We can use this simple graph method. We can plot these items on this graph. Like in this case, we know that which is most healthiest. The healthiest is the fruit, so we place the fruit item, but in the terms of liking it is not what I like much, so I plotted it in the down scale for the liking. Now sandwich is not that healthy in comparison to fruit salad, but it is somewhat more I like. Okay, and now least is the chole bhature, which is not healthy at all, but I like it the most. Now, so how do we select the best options among these three from this plot? It's actually very simple. We just draw lines on the average values of each side and divide the graph into 4 quadrants. Now, since we want to maximize both liking and healthiness, we will look for the best quadrant. Which is the best quadrant? Yes, the quadrant which have the sandwich. This is the best quadrant. Why? Because it balances both. It might not be the highest in liking and not the highest in healthiness either, but overall it gives a perfect balance. Now suppose I say liking doesn't matter to me. मुझे टेस्ट से ज़्यादा हेल्थ चाहिए. Then which quadrant will be the best? Yes, right, the one where the healthiness is high even if liking is low. But the real life isn't that simple, right? Sometimes we have multiple objective and constraints like health, liking, cost, and delivery time. All comes at once. So in this case, what we can do? Yes, simply we will club all the objectives we want to maximize and the constraints we want to minimize. For example, in this case, we want to maximize what? Health score and liking score. And what we want to minimize? Obviously, the cost of the item, food item, and if we are ordering from Zomato, then also the delivery time. So, what will be the best quadrant to choose from? Yes, the best quadrant will be the one where objective scores are high and constraint scores are low. And the worst quadrant will be the just opposite, where objectives are low and constraints are high. अब देखो, we were trying to maximize both liking and healthiness in our first example. जितना ज़्यादा उतना अच्छा. But it's not always this straightforward. Imagine a scenario. You say healthiness matters the most, but taste भी थोड़ा important, right? Maybe you want health as your top priority. Okay, no problem. But delivery time also matters to you, right? ठीक है. And also taste should be also good, but उतना मैटर नहीं करता जितना हेल्थ करता है. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, तो कितना मैटर करता है? यू कैन से थोड़ा बहुत करता है, बट थोड़ा बहुत कितना? यस, द मेन क्वेश्चन इज कितना. लेट मी इंट्रोड्यूस यू टू द वेट्स. So, what can we do here? We can assign weights to our constraints and objectives. Here we will learn scoring with the weights. Let's say here we make a small table. If healthiness gets a weightage of 50%, We multiply the health scores by 0.5. Then we do the same for the other factors like taste, which I give 30%, and delivery time least 20%, क्योंकि वो इन दोनों से ही और कम मैटर कर रहा है मुझे, बट हाँ it still matters to me. Now when we add everything up, we can easily see which item performs best overall. So we can see the overall rating or score. And here also the sandwich wins. ये तुम खुद से करके भी ट्राई कर सकते हो, right? So assigning weights carefully is really important. It is a good practice to keep the weights around the same range as your scores. Don't make them too large or too small, वरना तुम्हारा जो comparison है वो accurate नहीं आएगा. एक बार करके देख लेना. Okay, now let's apply what we have learned so far to our coaching revenue case from the previous video. In this case, we will ignore the miscellaneous revenue source for now. We will only consider four main revenue streams: offline courses, online coaching, test series, and study material. We already listed all possible solutions to increase the revenue of this coaching institute. So let's quickly go through them again. First, increase the number of batches in offline courses. If batches increases, new students will enroll and more fees will come in. Second, increase the price of the recorded courses. Third could be increase the number of students per batch in online courses. And fourth, increase the price of the test series. And lastly, increase sales of the study material. So all of these solutions can help increase the revenue. Now, what should we do next? The main objective, or you can say primary objective, is to increase revenue. But since all these solutions do that and almost similar, we need to prioritize which one is the best and which is not. To do that, we need simple additional informations. What? In this case, let's say you are in an interview. So, what should you do? You should always ask the interviewer what are the secondary objectives associated with this case, or maybe the constraints in this problem. Because, yes, the primary objective is increasing revenue, but in practical scenarios, cases always come with constraints and additional objectives. So, let's introduce those now. The first constraint is no capacity for the physical expansion. Physical expansion means any cost that is associated with the physical infrastructure. Second is no extra monetary support for the marketing you will be provided. So the solutions like that only that would not cost extra marketing burden on the company. Now, how do we prioritize under these constraints? Obviously, step one, eliminate the solutions that break these constraints. So offline course expansion gets eliminated because if we increase batches, we will need more infrastructure and no expansion capacity we have. So next is the increase the number of online students or selling more study material. That also needs marketing. So we can't add these as well and we have to eliminate these since we have no extra money to give in the marketing. So these also get eliminated. So we were left with two options: increasing the price of recorded courses and increasing the price of the test series. Now both look good, but which one is the better? Let's use some quantification and quantitative prioritization here. Our primary goal is to maximize revenue. So we will check which solution gives the maximum impact on the revenue. Let's say the interviewer gives you some more information that we can't increase the prices of these courses or test series by 10%. Otherwise, students might stop buying them and the same numbers as of before. तो ये तो सेल्स पर इम्पैक्ट डाल देगा, तो इससे ज़्यादा तो नहीं बढ़ा सकते. Okay, so let's analyze the current situation. So the current price of the recorded course is 20,000, the average price, and the number of students that take that recorded course is 1,000. And average test price is 5,000 of test series and number of students that take test series is 200. So when you multiply both these numbers, you will get to know that this is the total revenue from the recorded source, which is 2 crore, and current revenue from the test series, which is 10 lakh rupees. So now let's increase both prices by 10%. What will happen? Yes, you will get to see that revenue is increased by 20 lakh in the recorded course and 1 lakh in the from the test series. Which one is creating higher impact? Obviously, the recorded course here is creating the higher impact. So, the best solution here is to increase the average price of the recorded courses. And if this doesn't work for some reason, the second best option will be to increase the prices of the test series. Simple. We considered all the objectives and constraints and prioritized it accordingly. So, that's all about the prioritization in this video. In the next video, we will discuss the root cause analysis in detail. So, till then, bye bye.